Hi everyone, this is Laozi, and today I want to talk about one of the most influential figures in human history, the Chinese philosopher Confucius. His teachings have greatly impacted the social structure and way of life of Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Vietnamese people up to this day. The English name Confucius is a Latinized form of Kong Fuzi or Kongzi, Kong being his family name and Fuzi, often abbreviated to Zi, meaning teacher. His first name was Chiu and his sobriquet was Zhongni. Confucius was born in 551 BCE on a hill called Nishan, located about 30 kilometers southeast of Qufu City, in what is today's Shandong province, between the lower reaches of the Yellow River and the western shore of the Yellow Sea. On the hilltop, in the vicinity of his home, stood an ancient pyramid, whose vestibule is now nicknamed the Teacher's Cavern in honor of Confucius. Just about 50 kilometers north of Qufu lies Taishan, arguably the holiest mountain in China. Confucius was educated at schools for commoners and excelled in 6 main subjects, namely ritualism, calligraphy, mathematics, music, archery, and charioteering. After graduation, he took up various jobs such as bookkeeper, veterinarian, and educator. By the age of 50, he had built up a considerable reputation through his teachings, so he came to be appointed as Qufu's mayor and attorney general. He lived in the so-called Spring and Autumn period, which was fraught with turmoil, violence, and decadence. Sickened by his fellow citizens' irreverence and degeneracy, he soon quit his post and traveled southwest into what is today's Henan province, the region where the famous Shaolin monastery was built centuries later. Confucius was a contemporary of some of the greatest Asian philosophers such as Laozi, Sunzi, Mahavira, and the Buddha. Confucius returned to his hometown when he was 68, after he was invited by the local chief minister. Confucius spent the last 3 years of his life in a downtown mansion where he taught over 70 disciples and wrote about philosophy, mostly in the form of aphorisms. After his death, a huge temple complex was built around his house and school. Confucius, some of his disciples, and many of his descendants were buried in an ancient cemetery just north of the city center. Throughout his life, Confucius championed 5 principal virtues known as Ren, Yi, Li, Zhi, and Xin, roughly equivalent to benevolence, propriety, righteousness, wisdom, and trustworthiness. He also promoted the worship of ancestors, the practice of rituals, the preservation of folklore, the study of history, and the respect of hierarchical positions. He created the model of Junzi, or elevated person, which may be achieved by an individual willing to become a better version of him or herself through the cultivation of virtues. A diligent commoner may be a gentleman, while a profligate prince may be a rascal, regardless of their social status. The Confucian idea of meritocracy led to the introduction of the imperial examination system in ancient China, which allowed only deserving candidates to become government officers. Confucius's favorite motto was Boluan Fan Zheng, which is equivalent to the Latin adage Ordo ab Chao, and translates to the English order after chaos. Confucius believed human society must reflect the metaphysical realm, the physical universe, and the natural environment, in which opposing elements coexist to form a macroscopic balance. Confucius explained that the cosmos emerged from formless clouds of primordial elements, that coalesced into perfectly orderly stars and planets. Likewise, human society can achieve harmony and well-being if each and every individual understands his or her place within the system and plays his or her part accordingly. A successful nation is one that capitalizes on differences and is not caught up in the delusion of homogeneity and sameness. For example, a father should act like a father, a son should act like a son, a husband should act like a husband, and a wife should act like a wife. While juniors should owe their seniors respect, seniors also have duties of benevolence and concern toward juniors. Formalities and conventions are needed to understand each other more clearly. Confucius was convinced that social disintegration often stems from misinterpretation of reality, misuse of vocabulary, and disregard of values. In a dystopian society, the use of newspeak fools people into believing that war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. Rulers often deliberately try to impose a false view of the world upon their followers in order to subdue them. Confucius espoused the paramount maxim called Golden Rule, that is, do not do unto others what you do not want done to yourself. The original Chinese phrase goes like this: 己所不欲，勿施于人. Here is a selection of other Confucius sayings in English. Wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. Wisdom, compassion, and courage are the three universally recognized moral qualities of man. Forget injuries, never forget kindnesses. Have no friends not equal to yourself. He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. A superior man is modest in his speech but exceeds in his actions. By nature, men are nearly alike, but practice, they get to be wide apart. He who will not economize will have to agonize. When we see men of a contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. When anger rises, think of the consequences. When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, do not adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. Success depends upon previous preparation, and without such preparation, there is sure to be failure. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. Respect yourself and others will respect you. Study the past if you would define the future. Fine words and an insinuating appearance are seldom associated with true virtue. The beginning of wisdom is to call things by their proper name. Recompense hatred with justice, and recompense kindness with kindness. A scholar who loves comfort is not worthy of the name. Only after winter comes do we know that the pine and the cypress are the last to fade. Men do not stumble over mountains, but over molehills. If you found the topic interesting, please hit the like button, share my video, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.